This video is sponsored by Squarespace. I can't seem to go anywhere on the internet, and I'm staying off because apparently the spoilers for the next chapter are crazy. And by the time you see this, a chapter probably has already come out, and I probably have already lost my mind because everyone has DM'd me and say to stay off the internet. I can't seem to avoid the question, is Luffy your clone? And it's driving me crazy. We're gonna give in. It seems like we're at a place where we can't resist it anymore. It's like an infection. It's like we're in The Last of Us. Speaking of, The Last of Us series, really good. Yeah? Okay, anyway. In the One Piece world and in our own world, everyone has dreams, and for some of those dreams, influence matters. I mean, what would Big News Morgans have to do all day if no one checked into his newspapers? And with today's sponsor, Squarespace, you can create a powerful and beautiful online platform to do just that. Connect with your audience and generate revenue through gated, members-only content. Create a community on your Squarespace website with a fully integrated commenting system that supports threaded comments, replies, and likes. These new third-party tools can help you manage inventory, promote products, streamline bookkeeping, reconcile and file sales tax, and ship items across the globe. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/B.D.A. law to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Anyway, we're gonna approach this video as if Luffy is a clone. And I know, the One Piece Clone Wars, you probably can't get enough. If I had to gauge the events that's going on right now, the Clone Wars that's going on in Egghead, Law versus Blackbeard, Kizaru showing up, and Garp heading towards Blackbeard, let's rank them really quickly. The one I care about the most, that's tough. I'll probably put Kizaru at the bottom, considering the outcome is more than likely expected. Like, the Strats are not gonna die, right? Law and Blackbeard kind of is the same thing, considering that I don't think Law should beat Blackbeard. Doesn't make sense. I think Blackbeard has to beat Law based on just where the story is going. Then we have Garp going to Blackbeard because I don't think he's going to make it. Then the Clone Wars on Egghead. And why are the Clone Wars on Egghead the most interesting thing going on recently? Right next to Garp going to Blackbeard is, well, one, intrigue, and, well, it's answering questions. One major question that people want to know is, like, okay, how strong is Garp? Does he have any remorse for what happened to Sabo? And in Egghead, well, there's so many. The Rocks Pirates is a major one because Oda kind of left a cliffhanger even after Wano ended, saying, okay, what is Kaido? Where did he come from? Why did he choose Wano? There are some little things you can pull from, like the old hag saying Wano's a great place for weapons and it's isolated, so it's a perfect spot to just be a menace if you want to. But he specifically said to Yamato, hey, you don't know anything. And we didn't get Kaido's history in regards to the Oni. Yamato obviously came from somewhere, but could that be tied to Egghead as well? Easily one of the best arcs in the New World so far, considering just how much we've gotten from it so far. I said so far twice there. But anyways, either way, so far, we've not only gotten amazing stuff within the arc, but also within the cover story, okay? So it's a double whammy. Let's try to talk about some of the insane theories that's going on right now. So the major one, our main character is a clone. I'm trying to picture Oda taking the time to create this amazing character that carries One Piece for the most part. We all love Luffy, and then make him a clone of Roger, a clone of Emu, a clone of Joy Boy. Well, people are gonna look at Roger and say, well, Luffy's just like him. Kinda, but not really. But even in the midst of Luffy being a clone, even if he was, he would have his own personality. And for Stussy, even though she seems to be a clone of Miss Buckin, the personality seems completely different. Let's say Luffy is a clone of Roger. I guess Luffy was Ace's brother all along. But if Luffy is a clone, then that means Dragon isn't his dad and Garp isn't his grandfather. They just used their genetics to create this awesome human being. But then if he is a clone and this awesome human being was created from the likes of, or the DNA of Roger, why is Garp claiming him and Dragon claiming him? If all this DNA was used, that seems like a project the government would be in control of, because the government and Vegapunk, they're already short on resources, or Vegapunk is at least. So how would they let that slip through their hands? We have to jump through so many loops to try to make Luffy being a clone make sense. It's probably easier to assume he's not a clone. I've seen it, right? Someone sent me just this crazy theory. I don't even know if it's a theory, considering how insane it is. Just, Luffy's a clone of Joy Boy, Zoro's a clone of Ryuma, Frank is a clone of the real Cuddy Flam, Usopp is a clone of the Soge King, Sanji is a clone of his mother, Shanks is a clone of Rocks, Blackbeard is a clone of Rocks, Luffy's mom is a clone of Crocodile, Crocodile's a clone of Luffy's mom, Bonnie's a clone of the real Bonnie, Kuma's a clone of Kuma, Weaver's a clone of Whitebeard, and Joy Boy is a time travel clone of Luffy. It goes on and on. And Emu is a clone of Buggy. Either way, it needs to stop. I am losing my mind. Oda broke the story. He broke it, but in a good way. One of the most intriguing things about the One Piece story is the fact that we never know what the hell is going on. We're always just in a loop, and the cloning has just thrown us for another loop because I thought we were getting somewhere, right? I thought we were at the point where we were getting answers. Oda was still dropping questions here and there, but I was like, we're getting answers. And I feel like 100 more questions just popped up on the test. Oda said, Stussy's a clone of Miss Bucking, and Miss Bucking is connected to the Rocks Pirates. She was a former Rocks Pirates member. Well, Oda showed Higurashi turning into Stussy in Wano and also turning into Shiki. So Higurashi, she was a former member or some way affiliated with the Rocks Pirates. Also, more than likely, that's where Higurashi and Kaido met, and that's why it was so easy for them to somewhat barter a deal and for Kaido to trust her somewhat. If Higurashi is informed on cloning, which she has the cloning fruit, and more than likely they would look into her because hey, let's look into the lineage factor of the actual cloning fruit to clone people. Did Higurashi come to Kaido with another proposition of cloning himself and then thus creating his daughter? Because how is Yamato a full Oni? Where are the Oni and where is her mom? I know Oda has some personal vendetta against mothers in One Piece because they always seem to die or just go through something super tumultuous where they just don't exist anymore. Like Luffy's mom, Oda said, hey, she might or might not show up. Once Luffy grew up, he doesn't need a mother anymore. I'm like, what y'all talking about? I'll call my mom to ask her just how much butter is used to fry chicken sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like how much pepper do I use? How should I fold the towels before I put them up? Also, how do I subscribe to B.D.A? I got y'all there when I click that button if you haven't. For more content like this, let me know below. Greatly appreciate it. Let's get back to the video. We're at a strange place where nothing we say, nothing we do is ever gonna just be face value because we're gonna assume a character is a clone. Again, talking through this because the Rocks thing, Blackbeard being connected to Rocks in some way, has been out there for a while. Now people find something they can latch on to. They're saying, well, Blackbeard is obviously a clone of Zebek, and that's why he can eat 2 devil fruits. I've even been seeing people say, well, what if the Ace that died was a clone? So maybe Ace is coming back because Ace didn't really die. That's what y'all really want that? Y'all really want that to be the case? The reason why I was saying, though, seriously, why Oda broke the story is because we can never go back to normal. Oda's gonna obviously set up some parameters where cloning and how it exists and the people that make sense to be cloned because all those Straw Hats ain't cloned, G. Zoro one, we gotta think about a little bit. All the others, Sanji as well, because is that why Yasop don't want to be around Usopp? Because it's not really his son. It's just a clone of some dude. At the end of a previous video, I did say Kid could be a clone of Shanks, and people added on to it saying that's why Shanks took his arm so that, you know, the clone could match the original. I don't know, bro. Oda's put me in a state of flux where I don't know anything anymore. I made a thumbnail back in the day of Shaka, and I said Shaka looks like Dragon, and I wouldn't be surprised if Shaka actually looks like somebody we've seen before, and that's why he wears the mask, just because it's Vegapunk. Like, cloning is going to be the new it thing. Something they talked about as well, and we can touch on that here, is cloning is the key to world peace. Now, at first I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Thought about it a little bit. Think about this, cloning being the key to world peace. Right now, the world is in flux. The revolution's happening everywhere because of Sabo, the Flame Emperor. The people aren't sure about what's going on. The Marines are on a back foot. The Yonko system itself is teetering. The Warlord system is no more. It's a great quote, Jurassic Park. The scientists were so preoccupied in thinking if they could, but never stopped to think if they should. It applies here. Yeah, can we create synthetic humans that can evolve past every possible human being we have? Let's see. But should we do that? Nobody really stops to think about that because once you realize you can do something, it's like, well, nobody else can really do this, so I gotta be special. I gotta do this. I have to do this. Yeah, I don't know. This has created another layer on top of One Piece that I think is evolving really well. The mystery is getting even deeper. But here's how you create peace from cloning. You have a clone, but let's say you have a king that doesn't really fall in line with the world, and you want to replace that king without the issues of politics and rebellion. You simply clone that king and put a more well-mannered king that thinks the same way you do, and then he's more aligned with your things. End of war. Could they clone Cobra? You do that down the line. In the midst of this, you're literally either killing people because they can't exist anymore, or replacing them and send them somewhere far away with Kuma. But this is how cloning brings world peace. You clone people who think the same way. Kind of going back to the hive mind or the internet idea that Vegapunk had, where everyone is basically pulling from the same source, uploading your information, but downloading as well. That's how cloning solves world peace. Everyone is basically a clone, and everyone is implanted memories or things in which they should agree. Super agreeable, but super controllable, but then what are we living in? So it needs to stop. The Luffy clone thing, that doesn't make sense to me. Oda would not clone his main character. I don't think so. Chapter could come out, I may be super unequivocally wrong, because I never thought Oda would change Luffy's devil fruit, but Luffy being a clone, I just feel like what Luffy stands for is so unique, so original, so groundbreaking. He's the new generation's Roger in how he's trailblazing. Then being a clone, it doesn't sit right with me. But give me your thoughts. How do you feel about it? Maybe this wasn't me. Maybe this was a clone of me. Who knows? Like stranger things have occurred, right? I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying.